The Marathon Public Library is now closed on Saturdays. The change came into effect on Monday. The library says the reason is a lack of funding and that more cuts could be on the horizon. Hannah Demers is chair of the Marathon Public Library Board. She joins us on the line now to tell us more about what the facility is going through. Good morning.
Good morning, Mary-Jean. How are you doing today?
I'm all right, and you?
Good, thank you.
So, tell me about the people that use the library in Marathon and what kind of services they access there.
So the library attracts almost all ages right across our town of Marathon. So we have toddler time with parents who come in with young children, all the way up to adult craft nights and trivia nights. Then trivia happens once a month, and it's always a really good turnout. So the kind of services that we offer, of course, the basics. We have a great collection of fiction and nonfiction books for anyone to come and peruse. We also offer, our makerspace for people to come in and make a huge variety of items. It's great options for birthdays and Christmas gifts, something a little personal touch. We offer kids programming. We also have PD Day programming. We have our public access computers, which are available to anyone who needs to come in and use a computer that's connected to Wi-Fi. Or they can come in and use our Wi-Fi on their own devices if they have one to use. We also have our librarians who are great at assisting people with any sort of technology issue. A lot of things are online now, and that's not always a comfortable space for people to be in. So they come in and ask questions, how do I do these things? So they help them get set up. We have printing services, and we have our 3D printer, which has become really popular with everybody in town printing out all sorts of fun things.
Well, it sure sounds like a lot going on there, and I understand you even support some students who no longer have a library in their school.
Yes, one of our public schools no longer have their library. So I think we have about 4 classes that come in weekly with their teachers. Thankfully, Marathon's a small enough town that they can make the trek over and check out some books and hang out there for a little bit before heading back to school.
So how much money did the library receive in last year's municipal budget, and how much has been approved for 2025?
So in 2024, we received $170,000, and thus far, that is our belief that we will continue with the same amount in 2025.
But you had requested more, correct?
Yes, we did. We requested $214,000, knowing that we probably wouldn't get the full ask, but the library has seen great growth over the last several years. We were hoping to be able to increase our funding to help support replacing some of our technology. Our computers are a little bit older, to help get some updated equipment, and to be able to bring back some of the things that we've cut in the past to help deal with financial realities that unfortunately we're all facing right now.
And were these cuts that you found were missing, people were missing since they were made?
Some of the things, yes. So we've had to cut back things such as one of our online platforms called Hoopla. It's very popular, but they charge the library per borrow. So we can limit how many things people can borrow. And on Hoopla, that's ebooks, audiobooks, comic books, television shows, music. So we had to decrease our lending limit from 6 per person down to 4. And we were definitely getting phone calls asking why all of a sudden they can't borrow as many things as they had in the past. And that is one of the items that could be potentially cut even further.
So that's one service, but how do these current funding challenges impact some of the other services you're able to offer?
Basically with inflation and the fact that we haven't received an increase in the last 3 years, it's definitely cutting back on things that we have control over. So we don't have control over things like utilities and the cost of internet and phone and that sort of thing. What we can control is collection development, technical upgrades, our service hours, the programming that we offer. So unfortunately, there isn't anything that we're not considering. We're really hoping to limit the cuts in areas that are especially important, especially for kids programming. We want to make sure that every kid who wants to be there can be there. When it comes to Saturdays, when we've had to sit down and start looking at further cuts to make, that was unfortunately the quietest day of the week. We looked at the statistics, so that was kind of a first place to go. The reason we had been open Saturdays previously was that a few years ago, the town also provided us with some extra funding underneath the MAT tax to help with tourism, as Marathon no longer has an official tourism information center. That has not been provided in 24 or now in 25. So the funding we had to be able to be open that extra day. We used to have evening hours as well. We cut that back because they were not very busy. So we kept Saturdays because that is the day that people from out of town would come for hockey tournaments and camping and outdoor activities, and parents and people who work during the week could come on Saturdays. Unfortunately, the numbers basically said that Saturdays were our quietest day.
Are there any fundraising efforts happening to help, recuperate some costs?
So the library itself does as much as we can. So our monthly trivia night is a fundraiser for the library. It usually brings in $300 to $400 a month. We've done a big Christmas cookie cutter fundraiser using our 3D printer, which was very popular. And I believe they're planning another one for Easter. So we've done different things within the library itself, rain barrels and boxes of greeting cards. Unfortunately, we are limited because we are legally not separate from the municipality. We can't get a lottery license to allow us to access some of the bigger money-making fundraisers that are out there right now. We have had an uptake of interest in people in their town creating a Friends of the Library group.
Yeah.
Can do some of that work on the behalf of the library. So we are hopeful that with the volunteer people in our town who are passionate about library and want to maintain and if not help us grow, that could be a great option for us. So we do have that in the works. But what the library itself can do, we are the same way we can't charge people. Use the library under the Ontario Public Library Act. That's not permitted, and it shouldn't. Of course, public libraries should be available to everybody.
Of course. Actually, it's funny you mentioned the Friends of the Library, because that's what crossed my mind immediately, because we have that here in Thunder Bay, and they've had quite a successful 50-50 draw. So, it's an interesting look there as well. So, why is it important to support public libraries, especially in smaller communities like Marathon?
So I'm very passionate about the library, so this tends to be a thing that I like to talk about. But the one thing I really like to impress on people is the library is a space, and maybe one of the only few remaining spaces, where you get to go and be with zero expectation of spending any money. Everybody is welcome. You can come in and simply be in the space. You can come in and peruse our stacks, our collections. You can come in and do craft work. You can come in and get help with anything you need. Information is widely available, and help is there to help source reliable information. I think in this time, we get a lot of things from social media, and we're not always sure where that information is coming from. So, it's a place to go where it's completely unbiased. You say, this is where you can get good information. This is information that's available to you, and it doesn't cost you anything to obtain it. Knowledge is power, and good information is sometimes hard to come by, and we don't always have that critical eye for recognizing what is reliable and what's maybe not. So it's a space where I think in this time, it's essential to be able to get that information out there to anybody, no matter what they want to talk about.
Indeed. I think libraries just cover so many areas. It would be hard for any one place to replace everything you do. Thank you so much for joining us this morning to talk. I hope to hear more about what happens in your future.
Great. Thank you so much for your interest in our library. It's been great.
I've been speaking with Hannah Demers, chair of the Marathon Public Library Board. We were talking about the library closing on Saturdays due to budget constraints, among some other things. For more on this story, you can go to our website, cbc.ca/Thunder Bay, or the CBC News app.